Okay, I want to start out by saying apologies in advance for when the video cuts out because the great people that make Nikon cameras decided that the 3200, what do I got, a D3200 should just be the entry level model for someone that is just wanting to get started in the video taking thing. They've disabled a whole bunch of features that is available in the lower model 3000 just so they can put a camera in a price bracket. You buttheads at Nikon. What is the deal? How can you make a DSLR that doesn't accept? Okay, I was willing to work around the no audio capture situation. I've got that figured out. I do have to put a mic in front of my face. I don't appreciate that. But what's the deal with not recording until I am out of space on my video card? So, in today's recording, at some point the video is going to cut off and I've got to replace it with some sort of still. I'm sorry for that, but here we go. Sorry. Good afternoon. It is Wednesday once again, and that means it's time for me to come at you with round 4 of whatever this thing is I'm doing, me versus the world. Had a guy said he liked that term, so I guess we'll stick with that for a little while until something else presents itself. Round 4 of it, though, and what a week. If anyone is out there listening, you might recall that last week's goals involved something from each of the 3 big projects. But before I go into that, last week's goal here as far as this recording was to get a little bit of an idea about how I'm recording on Wednesday, talk about how I'm recording on Wednesday, putting this out the following week, and kind of give everyone an idea about how that's going. And I did that, and what I found was a little bit startling to me, actually, because I used to be in radio back when radio was actually still kind of cool. And I had a handle on these vocal crutches that I found myself doing when I went back and I listened to this podcast. I'm so behind the times. I don't know when I listened to this recording, I heard something that blew my mind, and that is, do you think that I could have possibly put the filler in there a single time? Could I have said one more time in that last recording? I submit to you that I could not. So that gave me something to work on. And I will probably roll that into goals for the future podcast and be very self-conscious about it today. In addition to hearing how just devastatingly dumb I sounded last week, I think that I mentioned something about starting a clean eating program, and I'll give that a mixed review because I've done it and I have also not done it. Some days I do better than others, but man, I like my meat. I can't get off the meat thing. And I'm supposed to substitute meat with different colors of vegetables. I'm supposed to substitute tongue prettiness for something that looks fun. It's fun to look at on a plate, but tastes like vegetables. No, I didn't do too well, but I'm not giving up on it. I'm gonna go ahead. So chalk that up as one fail. I mentioned something about starting preparing the land for broccoli and cabbage, I think. I say I think, but I have last week's notes right here. By the way, the start of this was very stellar. If you'll look at this, look at that crap right there. You know what this is? This is 5 copies of my of my notes for today. 5 of them. So if any of you want a copy of them, I got them. Apparently, I didn't realize that Ubuntu, whenever you print, keeps the settings from last time, regardless of how good or bad that might be. So I printed 5 copies because I needed 5 copies for some stupid meeting I was doing. Anyway, a lot of extra notes. And I thought also that the graphics card on this recording rig that's sitting right here in front of me took a dump too. I was very close to panicking because I've just gotten everything where I want it. Which brings me to my next point. I thought, I don't have this in the notes, but I think I mentioned something about needing a light because this is a rather dark set. I'm looking for the switch here. Check this out. That was a long delay. But check it out. You can now see my ugly face clearer, but if you saw what it was that is lighting me up, it's kind of laughable. But it does the job for right now. My buddy Nathan, who actually does a podcast thing also, and has a YouTube channel called The Reloading Room, is gone all in with a lighting kit, and I really wish I could follow in his footsteps, but I'm not in that position yet. So what I have here is a homemade rig, and I'll just stop there for the moment, because one of the things I want to do in the future is to, well, there it went. One of the things that I gotta stop and fix that. But I think I'll leave that in there for posterity. It's a stellar start there, homemade rig. I appreciate that. Okay, wow. Okay, that was fun. So there we have one of the possible shortcomings of my rig, the solution to which will probably involve tape and probably a little bit of Velcro also, if my past work is any indication. And Ubuntu's throwing errors. Okay. It's all part of it. So, it's one of my 5 pages of notes I want to use. Okay. Oh, that kind of wore me out. Today was arm day. And that always leaves me a little bit like that. Justin the monster truck out of the area today all week long. He's on vacation, but that was no excuse for me to stay at home. So I didn't. I hit the gym, did that. So we're going to call that a mixed bag also. I had my first real test of discipline, I guess you would say. And it came yesterday in the form of I did not want to get up and run. Not at all. I really made every excuse I could possibly make to stay my butt on the couch. But after some serious goading from my kids and my wife and my friends, that encompassed really all day. I decided to go out and do it despite the mental mindset I was in. So I think that part of it was a victory. However, due to circumstances, some of which were in my control and some of which were out, I was considerably slower than last week. Some of those factors being weather. Weather was a big one. It was really wet. It was really rainy. I slipped and fell. I changed my gait, which, by the way, don't do that without some serious professional supervision, because now I have Achilles tendonitis and a 3-minute slower run time at the end of the day. So that's not at all ideal. So I'm going to call that a victory in the area of self-discipline, which is one of my biggest weaknesses. Those of you that know me know exactly what I'm talking about. Just the fact that I got off the couch, I guess I can call that a victory. Maybe I should ask Jocko Willink, if he considers that a win or a loss, or echo. Anyway, I'm calling it a draw. I mentioned that I did want to make some headway on the My Safety Plan, My SP app. Complete fail. Well, no, you know what? One of the things I need to do better is actually make some follow-up notes. I have these notes that I made the day after I published, or not published, but completed that recording. I said I'm going to talk about the MySP app, but then I didn't make any notes on what I actually did. And the fact that it was a week ago now, Wednesday and Thursday night, I actually finished the login module, and now I have to make everything else kind of work on that back end. So ding, 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 I told you a lie straight up, because that was a complete success. The login module is working. So what didn't work other than me saying what didn't work? Well, let's see. I never did explain, I don't think, why I looked so sweaty on that last video, and probably on this one, and for the foreseeable future, anyone's in the future. Sounds weird. I didn't explain that. Anyway, here's why. Here's why. It's because I got to come, because of the constriction of the constriction? Yeah, because of the restrictions on my time. My family is only out for an hour, and that leaves me an hour to make this recording and start post on it. Before I get here, one of the things that you have to do is hit the gym. So I have to go directly from the gym into the recording studio, such as it is, and produce this while I'm still half dead and wanting to sweat all this weakness out of me. So I'm bound to look a little bit worse for wear till further notice. If I can figure out another way to do it, I can. But man, my schedule is packed. You have no idea. On the business front, actually, I have some hope of a new client. Just came out of the blue. I got to say thanks to them whenever I am allowed to do that, because they are a faith-based school, and the potential for them being a truly good client in a number of different ways actually is pretty high. So that's looking, my future's looking bright there. I should wear shades. I don't have any shades. They're in the car. I'm waiting to see what happens when Ubuntu crosses, my record line crosses the end line in Ardor, because I've never done it this way before. And it just crossed it. Is it going to stop recording? It is not. Yes, sweet. I can keep going. On the farm front, what happened on the farm front between then and now? I think, before I say absolutely nothing, let me think about it, but I think absolutely nothing. One of the things I would like to do, as I mentioned earlier, was get this camera off its tripod and kind of moving around the property a little bit so you can see exactly what I'm dealing with, the whole ugly truth, warts and all, because there is a lot of work to be done. And I don't know how long I have to do it. I guess, I could consider it an ongoing project, but I'm really worried about budgetary restraints in the near future, so we have to do it all on the cheap-ish and as best as we can. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about that's kind of outside the scope of what I'm doing here on the self-improvement is where I came from, because I mentioned ADD last week and how it was a big part of who I am, about the clinical trials and all that jazz. And I saw the response online in Reddit and it kind of surprised me at the number of people who are looking to genuinely improve themselves. Because let me tell you something, guys, if you've got a true case of ADD or ADHD or ADHD where the H has been pummeled out of you by society, and those of you that have it and have gone through that know exactly what I'm talking about. It's no joke, man. It's a lot of it's a continuous struggle between you and your brain and life outside kind of coming in between. It is a continuous struggle between you and your brain and everyone that you interact with, because you're socially awkward, as you can see from these videos. And it just basically, without going into too much detail, it sucks, man. And I was talking with my buddy Nathan a few days ago, and he told me some really, he put a spin on it that I really would like to expound on, but I'll mention it here. One of the things that I have done over the years is learn to live with this condition without medications. There are trade-offs to that. One of them is that I am prone to fall off the wagon, as it were. I think I mentioned it happened last week a lot. But I'm back on it now, and I feel like I'm kind of back in the game. But that's going to happen when you don't have meds to, I guess, engage that prefrontal cortex. Whatever in the world it does, you have to make allowances for the non-medicated state that you're in, because you're going to have problems. And apparently a lot of people do, and a lot of people aren't really sure what they have to do to get over those problems without taking the meds. And I would like to get into that here in the next few weeks. But what Nathan said to me, I think he mentioned he had a little touch of it too. It remains to be seen whether I believe him or not. Sorry, Nathan, buddy, you seem way too together. Unless you want to come on here and talk about what you do to make it look like you are, you are the man that you are without any ADD meds. I'd like to hear what your techniques are. But he said to me, I'm getting off topic. That's another thing that's prone to happen. But he said to me that you got to think about ADD cases, genuine cases, like the X-Men. They're like the X-Men because each one of them has a different sort of brain superpower, I guess, is what the kind of the term he couched it in. You got a guy over here that he's creative as all get out. You put him in a situation and ask him to think of a solution to a problem, and he comes at it from some sideways angle that you would have never thought of. Any normal human would never have thought of. And he gives you something that actually works, and works in a creative way, and is oftentimes more suitable. It is a more suitable solution to the task at hand than your normies, I'm going to put that in air quotes, normies, will come up with. Folks, that's a mental superpower, and it's something that needs to be acknowledged by the community at large. You're missing out on a whole lot of opportunities when you take your kids and you try to direct them with meds to be and think and do normal things, because we're just not. I'm going to use myself as a case in point. I'm a weird dude, and without getting further into that, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm a weird guy, but I think I do okay, and I've had companies. I've been very lucky to have companies that have appreciated that weirdness for what it was. In fact, I used to have a boss that would call me on the regular. I used to do field work for a government contract agency, and the guy would call me while I was out in the field with a problem they were having in the boardroom and ask me what my idea was for a tech solution to work around it. And one day he just, I don't know whether he blurted this out or whether he meant to tell me this to make me feel better. He could hear I was in a funk. I don't know. But he told me one day that, look, man, I call you because your thinking, this is his exact words, is so weird that you that you come up with things that none of us here in the office would ever dream about. I won't go into specifics, but I remember the very project he was talking about. That's one example. There's others that are very outgoing. They're very social, but they're social in a strange way. But, you know, all of these things are part of who we are. And it is my belief, and I believe very strongly, that it shouldn't be medicated out of us. I think that we need to, and I'm starting with myself, I'm stating myself here, we need to come up with ways to work with it. We need to come up with ways that we can address these things without switching off, I guess, that ADD part of our brain, because it's kind of like that X-Men, what was it that they did? They gave him a shot and they turned him from a mutant into a normal dude or girl or whatever the case was. It's kind of like that. Adderall, Ritalin, I don't even know. There's so many meds now. I've lost touch with that scene, but it forces you into a normal box. Yes, it shuts your brain off, but that's not necessarily a good thing, folks. I think we need to do a better job of getting with these kids and telling them, look, man, we're glad that you think and think all the time and your brain doesn't shut up. And unless it is bothering them, the sufferer, I don't think it needs to be medicated out. I think it needs to be worked with, and I'm going to drop it there because I know I'm rambling on. But I feel very strongly about that, and I hear a lot of kids crying out for help that I would not have expected it to be this strong of a reaction to a post that I posted on Reddit about how I deal with my symptoms. Wasn't even in an ADD forum. I found one after that. I think it was not life pro tip, but what do they call it? Shower thought. It was a shower thoughts. And it just blew up. That's when I figured out what the term rip inbox meant. So guys and gals, if you hear this and if you have the condition, feel free to hit me up, I guess in the comments. I don't know how this thing works, but in the comments, I can't give out my email. That would be just stupid. But hit me up in the comments. I'll be glad to talk to any and all of you. I don't have goals for next week's set. I'm just going to have to set them after I get off here because I see I'm running off, borrowed time. I think my camera shuts off after half an hour. And then we had the fiasco with the lighting, so that cost me some recording time. Ooh, that cost me, that my voice cracked. That cost me some recording time, so I guess I'm just going to say you take this recording for what it is. Kind of a half-done, pseudo-successful cap of the week, and we will try again next week. Meet me here for round 5, Julian versus the world. I'm done. Peace.